Diving into the world of history and luxury, we'll be discovering the Titanic's most expensive first-class cabins. But before we do, don't forget to hit that like button, click the notification bell, and subscribe to our channel. Nicknamed as the unsinkable ship, followed by a tragedy, the Titanic was the most opulent liner of its time. In 1912, its tickets ran up to £4,350. That's around $100,000 in today's market. So what made Titanic so expensive? Let's get right to it. Accommodation. The magnificent accommodations were the primary factor the Titanic's first class was so pricey. The ship featured 9 decks, making its height similar to that of an 11-story structure. Only the top few decks were reserved for first-class accommodations. This is where the ship's engines made the least noise and vibration. The first class in particular was designed to replicate the opulence of New York's premier hotels at the moment. The Titanic's first-class cabins were more than just rooms. They were full-fledged hotel suites. At the time, the cheapest ticket available on the Titanic's first class offered access to the basic cabins, which cost roughly £30. In today's money, that would be around £3,000. These standard cabins were placed on the A deck or the highest floor of the ship and were rather modest in comparison to the other cabins in first class. These standard cabins comprised of either a single or a double berth staterooms. They featured their own vanity table, magnificent horsehair sofa, and marble sink. To accommodate guests, some of the ordinary cabins also had extra beds with bunks that could have been pulled down over the main bed. The B and C decks housed more opulent accommodations for first-class guests. These had double beds and were much larger. They had built-in wardrobes, electrical outlets, and a steward call button. Despite the fact that the entire first-class cabin was centrally heated, these more opulent staterooms had their own heating system and could request that the beds be electronically warmed by a steward. The suites are the most sumptuous lodgings on the first class. The Titanic featured 39 of these deluxe suites in total. Tickets for these first-class suites cost roughly £870 or $49,642 in today's money. These suites included large walk-in closets, ensuite baths, and a separate place for staff. Parlor suites. The ultra-luxurious parlor lodgings were the reason the Titanic's first-class cabins were so pricey. The parlor suites would definitely have been among the most expensive accommodations on board, costing roughly £4,350 in 1912. There were 4 of these beautiful parlor suites in total. Because they occupied so much area, the B and C decks only had 2 parlor suites apiece. The suites on the B deck were the most sumptuous and were known as the Promenade suites since they had their own promenade decks where individuals could roam about and spend time alone. They also happened to be close to the first-class entrances, making it easier to transport the wealthy passengers' heavy luggage. The parlor suites were all luxuriously equipped. They each had 2 walk-in closets, a separate bathroom, and lavishly furnished big living spaces. The living rooms were built to host parties, with a false fireplace, card tables, luxurious couches, and writing desks. So the Titanic was essentially a hotel on the waters for people who were able to afford it. Sporting facilities. The third reason the Titanic's luxurious first class was so costly was its access to cutting-edge sporting facilities. Private squash courts, a gymnasium, and a swimming pool were available to first-class travelers. For a ship of its time, the Titanic's sporting amenities were quite opulent. Remember, this was in 1912, near the end of World War I. The cutting-edge gymnasium features a punching bag, a rowing machine, a weightlifting machine, an electric horse, and 2 electric camels. For those wondering what electric horses and camels are, they are electrically powered devices that move like horses and camels to strengthen the core and arms, as their name implies. Exquisite food. The superb food served in the Titanic's first class was the 4th reason for its high cost. If the food was bad, it would have ceased to have been named the most exquisite ocean vessel. The Titanic was also among the rare ships that served food to all classes, even the 3rd class. In fact, A few menus have survived the disaster, giving us a peek of what their last dinners were like. A menu from one of the restaurants shows that the diners enjoyed 10-course feasts. These dishes contain the highest quality and most decadent beef, poultry, and seafood. Oysters, crab, squab, salmon, lamb, and duck were among the food served, as were excellent slices of meat that included sirloin steak or a filet mignon lily. There were restaurants where clients may enjoy fine cuisine in addition to vast first-class dining rooms. Of course, these were additional, and you had to pay for the meals. But the most lavish and luxurious of the restaurants was the first-class a la carte restaurant. The a la carte dining room was designed like the one located at the Ritz and could seat 137 guests in a single dining session. Many sources claim that the dining hall was the most richly adorned of all the rooms. It was decorated in an attractive French style, notably Louis XVI Baroque furniture and decor. There was even room for an orchestra. Many of the richer guests were actually throwing an exceptional event at the a la carte restaurant on the night of the catastrophe. It didn't last long, to put it mildly. Much of the food was inspired by French cuisine and includes dishes like pâte de foie and peaches with chartreuse jelly, which are not cheap. There were also other French-style cafes and restaurants. Now, with all these decadent cuisine, there had to be amenities where you could work off all that excess weight. Titanic surely thought about featuring a well-equipped gym and sporting facilities. Other amenities. The sixth reason why the Titanic's first class was so pricey was the sheer number of extra luxuries available. Aside from the squash courts, swimming pool, and fitness center, spa section with Turkish-style baths. The use of the baths was clearly divided into the distinct genders, with ladies only being allowed at one time and males only being permitted at another. The Titanic also featured its own hairdressers for first-class passengers, allowing them to stay neat and tidy during the voyage. Libraries, reading and writing rooms, smoking rooms, and magnificent lounge rooms were among the various luxuries available to these guests. Meetings and parties were also common on the promenade deck. The Titanic went to great lengths to keep their passengers engaged. However, with a restaurant and an orchestra, you'd expect they'd have laundry facilities, but apparently not due to a lack of fresh water. Which deck and cabin would you choose to stay in? Dive down into the comment box and tell us about how you'd spend your time inside the Titanic. See you in our next videos as we continue to explore the sunken world of the unsinkable ship Titanic.